I decided to go on a hike at a familiar place in southern Oregon. I knew the terrain well. I wanted to go on a hike and actually camp there for the night. As I was driving up there to a pretty isolated area, I noticed a car behind me. I didn't think much of it at first, but as we got closer, he kept on tailing me, and it was really kind of annoying. We both parked in the parking lot. He parked side by side with me. I asked him, "What are you up here for today?" And he said, kind of like my story, go on a hike, maybe camp for the night. I thought, well, cool. Somebody who might be a part of my tribe. I got my stuff together. He got his stuff together, and he was only about 30, 45 seconds behind me. I hike pretty fast, especially since I know the area well. So I tried to create some distance between us. I wanted to be able to enjoy the day to myself. But every time I kept going faster, he kept going faster. It really kind of wigged me out. Why was this guy trying to hold pace with me? Why was he trailing me on foot, just like he was in the car? A couple hours went by while he was right behind me. He never let any distance come between us. Again, it could have been a coincidence, I thought to myself. I did get a little tired. The terrain was getting rough. It was a little bit muddy. Had rained just before, and I was starting to fatigue. So I sat down for a while. It didn't take but 10, 15 seconds for the man behind me to catch up. He sat down right next to me. He started making small talk, asking me how many times I had been out here before. I answered, many. He said, "I've been out here many times myself. I have a question though. Have you ever seen anything out here that you can't explain?" And I simply said, "No. I've been out here plenty of times. It's a very peaceful, quiet place." He kept on talking about feeling like there was somebody following him. And I said, "Honey, I had that same feeling." Of course, we were saying two different things. I got up, drank a little more water, put it in my bag, and kept on going. Not surprisingly, he was only about 30 seconds behind me. Finally, I got to my camp spot. He was going to camp right next to me. So finally I asked him, "Hey, what's your name?" "Mike," he says. I said, "With all the space around here, don't you think you might want to, go somewhere else where it's private?" And he said, "Remember that feeling that I had earlier that somebody was following me? I saw someone, but every time I look again, you're not there." I thought this guy was crazy. I said, "I really wanted some private time and space tonight, just kind of figure my life out, So I'm going to go over there and be kind of by myself, if you don't mind." He seemed a little weary about it. He said, "I'd prefer if I were closer." I said, "Well, sorry, I'm not here to babysit." A couple hours go by, sun sets. I had set up my tent, started a fire, started cooking a little bit of food, a little soup. I saw somebody out there in the distance and hearing branches crackling, breaking. I said, "Mike, is that you?" Nothing. So I said it again. "Mike, hey, are you out there?" Still nothing. So I got up, walked closer to the crackling and the breaking sounds of the branches. I didn't see anything, but I could hear something. I didn't quite understand what was going on. I ended up walking all the way to Mike's camp to see if it was him. There he was, making his own food. So I quietly walked back to my camp. When I got there, all of my food was gone. I looked around a little bit more and realized some of my clothes were missing, and my shoes for tomorrow were gone. The shoes I had were soaked and covered in mud. I wondered who else is out here. Who's watching me? What was Mike talking about? A few more hours go by, I decide to go to sleep. I get in my tent, zip it up, get in my sleeping bag. There it is again, the crackling of the branches. But this time, it's all around me. It doesn't sound like just one person. So, not afraid, with a knife and a gun, always prepared, I open up my tent and I get out with my flashlight looking around, hearing all the sounds. But again, I don't see anything. I was about to go back into my tent, kind of freaked out. But then in the distance, I saw a dark silhouette. I turned away to get another flashlight, a stronger one. Flashed it on the same spot, nothing. Thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. But then just to the left, the same silhouette. I flashed the light on it, and I could see him. A man in a suit, with a blank expression. In fact, really no facial features at all. He was just standing there. I looked away for 2, maybe 3 seconds. Flashed the light back on him. Again, gone. I got back into my tent after looking around for another 15 or so minutes. Nothing, no more sounds. I fall back asleep. I wake up at about 3:30 in the morning hearing screams in the distance. Mike. I get my flashlight and my gun. Didn't even get my shoes on. And I run over to his campsite. About 10 seconds before I got there, the screaming stopped, making me slow down a little bit, wondering what was going on. I get to his campsite. Fire is still going. Get a little closer. Whispering, Mike, you there? Nothing. I get into the campsite. I look in the tent. I see all his stuff. All his food. No shoes. Mike, you there? Nothing. Finally, I look to my left. There he is again. I run away, screaming, back to my tent. Start packing everything up. Throw my shoes on. I run back towards Mike's tent, back towards his campsite. One more time, trying to see if he was there. Again, nothing. I ran straight back to the car, running for 2 hours, and then jetted straight home. The next day I heard a hiker was missing. It was Mike. He was never found. I decided to go on a hike at a familiar place in southern Oregon. I knew the terrain well. I wanted to go on a hike and actually camp there for the night. As I was driving up there to a pretty isolated area, I noticed a car behind me. I didn't think much of it at first. But as we got closer, he kept on tailing me, and it was really kind of annoying. We both parked in the parking lot. He parked side by side with me. I asked him, "What are you up here for today?"